This year is in the weekly Dvar Malchus of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. This evening we're learning a Teichen of the Sikha of Yud Tammuz, which was then Parshas chukas in Toshin Aleph. And the shir is taking place in the base Knesset, Chabad Tsfat, Ir Atika Tzfat, Ir Kodesh. And this evening is Thursday night, Oel Levov Tammuz, Tov Shin Ein Zayin. So the Rebbe is going to pay attention in this Sikha to the two factors that occur in every date. In whatever day of the month you may choose, you have two main, as it were, building factors to that date. And on that basis, he's going to pay very, very detailed attention, which involves also connecting it with the Parshas and with Yud Beis Tammuz and with many other inyanim, on the fact that that particular Shabbos, Parshas chukas in Toshin Aleph, was Yud in the month, was Yud Tammuz. So we don't have that quite. We're like 3 days behind that. By us, Shabbos is Zion B'Tammuz. Of became there's a tremendous detailed reference to inyanim which are shown to everybody, and they're connected with many themes which are topical, and especially Pirkei Avos and the Parshas and Yud Beis Tammuz. התאריך העברי מורכב כידוע משני חלקים. Any date in the Jewish calendar is murkav, is consisted, or it's made up of one or two portions. חלק אחד היא הספירה השבועית. One portion of a date in a Jewish month is the counting of the week. In other words, the day in the week in which it occurs. And that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, up till 7. And then he said, Yom Rishon b'Shavua, Yom Sheni v'Halua. However, the Chelek HaSheni, the second portion in every date, is Hu Aspira HaChodshiyas. That is according to the counting of the month. You're going according to the days of the month. Either Echad b'Chodesh or Beis b'Chodesh, v'chein halu, and so it is further. So we see that every date, wherever you'll be in the Jewish calendar, have got two aspects. On the one hand, it'll be, let's say, it's Thursday. Yes, so Thursday is Yom Hay. That's the 5th day of the counting of the week. But it might be, let's say, Tammuz. It might be Yud Gimel Tammuz. It might even be Kof Tammuz. It depends. But that's another way in which time is counted. In other words, time is counted either according to the week, or it's counted according to the month. And we'll see that that's going to be a very central theme in the whole Sikha. So the Rebbe points out in a big footnote right at the very beginning of the Sikha, why did he say it's only an Tarikh Ivri? By the Goyim, they also have months and they have days of the week. But they go according to the sun. They count time according to the sun only. So the Rebbe said they only count Chadoshim, months, because they are like being Makabel from the Kedusha of the Torah, and therefore, B'Torah Mamela, they also want to count months. But their months are only like an agreement. they've taken, the sun itself has no months. The sun goes around a whole cycle for a whole year, but it's not divided into smaller sections called a month. So the non-Jewish months are what's called an agreement. So many days, and then that'll be the end of that month, and there'll be a start a new month. And if they want, it'll be 28 days, or it'll be 30 days, or they decided how many days in that particular month. And then that's because the sun doesn't divide itself. However, if you go according to the moon renews itself every 30 days, and that's a month. If you go according to the moon, you have months. But if you go according to the sun, you don't really have months. But since in Kedusha there's months, so they also have to follow suit, and they plant into their situation also months. Well, I find that very informative. When you think about it, there's no such thing as months in the sun. The sun just goes, just hucks ahead the whole time exactly as it is. It goes round in a general cycle. Of a yearly type cycle comes back to a certain point. So what sort of months is shaykh over there? So the Rebbe says, they're what's called a agreement. In Lashon Kodesh it's called a heskem. The months over there by the Goyim are a heskem. So it follows Lefizeh that by the Tarikh Ivri, the two main points that join together are real. There's Taki a month and there's Taki a week. But the week goes according to the sun, because the sun does set and come up every 24 hours, so that makes a day. The counting of the day is according to the sun, and the counting of the months is according to the moon. So a Tarikh Ivri has and combines in itself the two inyan. And we're by the Goyim, no. But they also have months, but not because they have two actual factors of that. Asfira Hashuvis, says the Rebbe, the counting according to the days of the week, but Nuyo al pi mahalach Hashem. That's according to the passage of the sun. The sun does go down and come back up again each day. So therefore that's according to the sun. And that's written in the Torah right at the very beginning. Vayhi erev, vayhi vayker, yom echad. In other words, you have the evening and then you have the morning, and that all together is one full day. Ve'ilu asfira hachodshiyas, however, the monthly counting, benuyo lefi mahalacha yoreach kiyadur. That's according to the moon, and the moon Taki goes down and it comes up, and it reaches a point in the middle of the month, and it starts going down, and then it becomes like a point of nothing, and then it begins again, goes up, gradually goes away again. So there's a definite moving of a monthly cycle by the moon. By the sun, that's not there. Shnei suki ha-sfiros eilu. So the Rebbe, these two different types of ways of counting our time, einam b'mikreh chasper sholim. That's not just it just so happens to be that way, you know. It just came out that way, that the moon is this way and the sun's that way, and the Goyim count only went to the sun and didn't count both according to the sun and the moon. So the Rebbe said that's not just any old how, chasper sholim. Haim u'duyokim u'mekuvonim al yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These things are very exact, and they have a kavanah from a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mekuvonim means that they're aimed at, and they're aiming at something, and they have a kavanah. Haim mishakvim shtei shitois. They represent, or it reflects itself inside them, two shitois, two different approaches and ways, Bahan Hogas or Elon, Adideh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They represent two different types of the conducting and the expectation of the Bria through HaKadosh Baruch Hu. these two different, the counting of the week and the counting of the month. So he said, what are they? He said, Boro imkein, well, we're going to come to that. He said, Boro imkein, ניתן וצורך ללמוד מכך הורויס בבית Hashem. If that's the case, that it's all a definite method, plan on the part of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, then it's clear and very understandable that we have to learn from that Hoiros Hashem. So the Rebbe said that's almost like a kal v'chaymer from the famous Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. What the Baal Shem Tov taught us, that whatever you see and whatever you hear, you have to learn from that. So even something which appears, at least on the outside, and it doesn't have the massivity of the running of the whole world, nonetheless you have to observe that carefully and teach yourself something from that Penegah to Avodas Hashem. How much more so if we're talking about the running of the whole creation, and the whole way the creation is built, and the whole way it runs, and the whole way the different facets of time interrelate to one another, then for sure you have to learn from that, Hoiroah, and even Hoirois, how do you call it? Instructions in Avodas Hashem. So that's what the Rebbe points out. It's really like a kal v'chaymer. He said, Kach gam b'nageh l'tarich boi anu nimtayim. Says, if that's the case, and the Rebbe, then for sure we have to learn out from the date which we are now found. And the Rebbe was talking on what date? He was talking on Yud B'Tammuz in Toshet Nun Aleph. So the Rebbe says, Yom HaShabbat, in the days of the week, then Yom HaShabbat is the Shavi B'Shavua, it's the 7th. So the number, according to the Mahalach of the Shemesh, which is Shai to Shabbos, is 7. That's the basic, what you might call label, that affects the whole Shabbos, that it's the 7th day. He said, V'yom ha'asiri b'chodesh, together with that, going according to the months, according to the days of the month, it's the 10th of the month. So the Rebbe says we have to learn from that a very basic and very real Hoiroah b'Avodas Hashem. He says, Yesh l'umeid mikol chelik b'nifrad. We can learn from each piece or portion on its own. That's to say, from the day of the week and the day of the month, each one of them separately. Yes, Shaharei Haim loy tluyim zeh that they're not dependent one on the other. The day of the month, it's got nothing to do with the day of the week, because the day of the week comes from the sun, and the day of the month comes from the moon. So they don't have one to do with the other. So the Rebbe said later we'll consider a way of viewing it where they come together and they sort of unite and function together. But really they're not united, they're not really dependent one on the other. Therefore we have to begin our series of learnings, the different Hoirois, Lashon Rabim, plural, we have to begin learning from each one in its own separate value that it had. He said, and then later we'll be able to learn from the joining of the two of them together. He said, "V'gam limtzoy es hakesher leParshas Hayinu, the Parshas chukas." We'll have to find also some sort of connection with Parshas chukas, u'lechodesh Tammuz, and to the general month of Tammuz, u'letarichim hasmuchim l'Shabbos zu, and to certain dates which are very close to this Shabbos, Yud Beis, Tammuz, Chag HaGeula shel Admor Harayah. That's the great Chag HaGeula, Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz. So that's coming shortly after the Shabbos. So that must as well known that the Shabbos affects all the days that come after it. So we have to learn also, in the light of what we learn here on Shabbos, we have to go in a parallel way and learn also in an additional way what's the combination of the dates of Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, and how they relate to the Ashpur that they get from Yud. He said, but Yud Zayin Tammuz, and then a week later, it's going to be Yud Zayin Tammuz, which means that that particular year, Toshin Nonara, Shivos of Tammuz was on Shabbat. And therefore it was, how do you call it, a nidche, it was pushed off. However, by us, Yud Zayin Tammuz is going to come out after next Shabbat. But Mashiach, in that particular year, it was on Shabbat. But anyway, since even the Shabbos coming after is affected by the Shabbos, that's the way it appears in the Zohar, and therefore we'll be able to learn also, but again, to the Yud Beis, Yud Zayin, not just Yud Beis Tammuz, but also Yud Zayin Tammuz. Hayom boi Hufka'a Yerushalayim. Well, that was the day that the wall of Yerushalayim was split. Hufka'a. It was split and made open to the entry of the enemy, Rahmanin Islam. But that happened on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. V'ha'ika, so that will be in addition to all that, and as a principle, as a ikar, we're going to have to learn the kesher. L'dova haki choshu ve'ikri, hanogeya l'akshor. So we're going to have to learn, what does all this have to do with the most important and principal matter which is affecting us now, which is Nogeya. It's not just, how do you call it, an interesting theme, but it's Nogeya. It's mamish important and affecting our whole situation, and that is the Gula HaMitas Ashleimo. So we're going to have to learn, what does all this have to do with the ultimate Geula, taking miyad mamish basis. This fellow is a bird.
He's something else.
So we're not holding by the Madrega Rabbeinu HaKodesh. But the Gemara says that whenever Rabbeinu HaKodesh sat, and even he ate food, there was never seen a fly. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, whenever he ate, the Gemara said, there was never seen a fly. So we're not holding by that Madrega. So anyway, good. So that's what we're going to do then. We're going to learn up all these Hoyroyas, and again, what do they have to say to us, from the two making up factors of the day. Says the Rebbe, Kishanosim Lei, when we will pay careful attention. Nosim Lei means when we'll, how to call it, look carefully and analytically into the situation. Nireh sheyeshnoi hebdel mahusi bein asfira hashavuis lezu hachodshis. If we look careful, we'll see that there's a very essential and basic, not just differences in what you might call, what's the name of the science of the space, what's it called? Astronomy. It's not just an astronomical difference, but there's something very essential and profound between the counting of the days of the week to the counting according to the month. Asfira hashavuis eina taluya klal b'maisa ha'odom. The counting of the week and which day comes out, the day of the week, that has nothing to do with anything on the part of effort on the part of man. Man doesn't have any interference with that or influence on that at all. If tomorrow is going to be Friday, it's going to be Friday without him doing anything. And if he would like to say, I would like to, tomorrow be Thursday, and he can talk, the old expression has it, he can talk till he's blue in the face, but it's not going to affect the situation. It has nothing to do with him. It just comes, and the sun just goes up and down, and it's just moving very gradually in a yearly cycle. However, he said, he nikva, I'm sorry, he nikva alida kodesh baruch hu b'sheish shemay bereshis. The Eibishter fixed that Seder in the 6 days of creation. V'chach hu nisha kol hazman lefi mahalach Hashem. That's the way it has remained ever since the actual days of creation. That's the way it's remained. And it just keeps going and reoccurring the whole day, the week and the month, according to the movement of the sun. B'kol pam she'Hashem shoikas oiver yom nosav. Whenever the sun goes down, then we say that one extra day is already gone by, and we prepare ourselves for the new day. And it keeps going until the 7th day, which is the day of Shabbos. Shekam hu nikvo miyaz alidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's also been fixed since the time of creation by the Eibishter. And the Gemara says that in Masechta Beit, that is brought down, Semtkeimim in Chassidus and the Sichos of the Rebbe, that the Gemara says that the difference between Yom Tov and Shabbos, that Shabbos is what's called Mikadsha V'Kaimo. It's been sanctified and is standing and ready the whole time, because the Eibishter gave it its sanctity at the beginning of the creation. However, the Yom Tovim and Yom Tov, the Yom Tovim, they come through the act of the Beis Din. And if it weren't for the fact that the Beis Din decides when it's going to be Rosh Chodesh, then we wouldn't know exactly what day it's going to be on. The whole inner of Yom Tov comes according to Avodas HaOdom. Over Shabbos, says the Gemara, the Rebbe once mentioned to somebody that I know him, the Rebbe once mentioned that it's a Indian to count the days of the week. And therefore we say every day, we say Hayom Yom Rishon Shabbos, and the Ramban writes in Parshas Yisroi that you should be mechaven when you say Shir Shal Yom in your tefillah. You should be mechaven to what some people hold is a mitzvah to count the days of the week. Yeah, so when you say Hayom Yom Rishon B'Shabbos, according to the Ramban, you have a mitzvah. But you're counting the days of the week. You're counting the Shabbat. The difference, however, is that was fixed at the beginning. And it has a kedusha in a Shabbat, it was made by HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the very beginning of the whole creation. However, he said the inyan of the month, well, that's dependent in Avodas HaOdom. Because if it weren't for the Beis Din, then we wouldn't have that particular counting. However, that's not the case with the Yomei HaChodesh. They are fixed according to the Jewish Beis Din. You don't have a day of the month if you haven't had the Beis Din be covered the Eidim, and the Eidim say that the moon was seen, and then we fixed the Chodesh. And the way we have nowadays the calendar, that's due to the Torahs of the Golas, that the great Amora B'Shem Hillel, that's not Hillel Azokin, it's another Hillel, he made this amazing mathematical cheshbon, and so we go according to some, but that's all based on what was the Avodah, the Beis Din, before the Golas, before the spreading out of the Jewish people. So he said, Ahim HaKoivim, the Rabbonim and the Beis Din, they are fixing Matai Rosh Chodesh or Matai HaChagim. They decide when are going to be the Chagim, and therefore, Lochein Shivas, Yemei Bereshis, Oyu Miyad B'Chilus HaBriyah. They were right there from the first 6 days that were there. However, he said, Ve'ilu mitzvahs kaviyas hachadoshim. However, the etzem fixing of when it's a month, that hechelo rakasha b'nai Yisrael yotzu mitzrayim. Or the etzem fixing of when is the month and how do we count the month? If you look carefully in Parshas Boi, it's written Chodesh Hazeh Lochem Reish Chodoshim. Rashi says that is the first mitzvah with which Yidden worker commanded by Poyol, and that's the counting of the months, and the counting of the days of the month. And if you look in the Rashi, right at the beginning of the Torah, when he talks about Bereshit Bara, Rashi says over there that the Torah should have began with the first mitzvah. Why does it begin with the story of how the world was created? And Rashi says, what is the first mitzvah? As he came, we see that until Yidden went out of Mitzrayim, there wasn't really a mitzvah to actually count the Chadoshim and to fix them and to make them according to the days that the Bezdin will observe. That began only at the time it says Mitzrayim. It follows that there are two different stages and two different representations of how Jewish time developed. But immediately macheres, in other words, of putting it in a slightly different way, Yemei HaShavua Misalmim Eseda Habriya Hativiyah. The days of the week, and whatever day in the week you happen to find yourself, that is symbolizing, Misamel means to symbolize, the Seder of the Briya Hativiyah, the calling of the whole natural creation, which has a fixed and unshakable ruling, which we call Teva. That's what we call the word. We call that with the word Teva. And the Eibishter wanted as one on the great Sforim in Chazal, that the Eibishter wants that things should function that way, and he made it that way, and that was created directly by him in the Sheshes Yemei Brayson, and that's indicatory of that whole Seder and that whole, as it were, demand of a Kodesh Baruch, that whole will of a Kodesh Baruch. He said, "Ve'ilo yemei hachodesh, yemei hachodesh, miroshan chidah." It's one of the pirushim, and the word chodesh is from the word chadad. It implies a chidush. Mesamlim as a chidush, the new thing which came into the Bria. Or what is that? Who makes the new thing in the Bria? Chidush ha'odam poyel b'Bria al yidei amshochas ha'elakus shelamayla me'o'elom. Avamela, here is a very, very basic theme in all the Rebbe's teachings to us, that there's two basic aspects. There's what the Eibishter did, and then there's the tremendous task which is given into the hands of man. And that man was made by the Eibishter to, as it were, add and bring newness into what he did. He made the world the way it was. However, he intended that man should add and, as it were, bring a whole new thing into the world, which would ultimately make the world into a dira b'tak toinim. What does dira b'tak toinim mean? It doesn't mean a dwelling place for the Eibishter. He's limited. It's ever. That means a dwelling place for the etzem of the Eibishter. When you go home with your etzem. You don't just send your suit home or your shoes. You go with your whole etzem into your dira. Dira b'taktoni means that we have to go higher than the Bria and bring down Hashem how he is beyond the Bria into the creation. And that's the reason why man was created. That the reason you're in the world is to achieve something new. That's what you're supposed to do. So you mustn't say, oh, who am I? You know, I'm just an old schlepper, and you know, halavai, I would just manage to get by, you know, to use the expression. So, ein nochanami, you are a schlepper, and halavai, you would get by. But nonetheless, you have the ability, and you have the chuy, the requirement, and you have the obligation to make something new in the whole creation. And that new is that you've got to bring down divinity, which is not there in the creation al piteva. You've got to bring down divinity shalamayla me'o'ilam lekamri into the oilam. Ad shleim is bekak v'geru amid ba shleima, until the ultimate perfection of that will be at the time of the Geula. But then there's going to be etzem elikus dwelling lamata b'techoil, And that's who's going to be poiled out? Davki alidei avedasa Adam. How does the Alter Rebbe say in Tanya? He said that where are they Ma'aseinu v'avodaseinu v'meshech zman hakolos, we are bringing about the Geula. In other words, without us, the Geula is not going to be. The Eibishter has no problem. He can make 10 Geulas at any moment that he wants. But the Eibishter is waiting for us. He's waiting for us to get, as the old saying, to get moving. If you get moving, then you have the ability to do it. The trouble is that we get moving, but only partially, it would seem. But even that is incomparably better than nothing. How do you call it? A half of an answer is also something. What's the message of the whole seeker? Get moving, because you have powers that are not there in the perfection of the creation. The world is a beautiful world. It's a wonderful world. But you, as a Yid, were put into the world not just to leave it the way it is. You were put into the world in order to bring in a chiddush. And that chiddush is Gil Elokus Shelamayla Me'am Olam Legamrei. I remember Rav Nochum used to say that you'll find all the amateur revolutionaries who made trouble throughout history, all of them were Yidden. Therefore, even in Russia, Lahavdil, Trotsky, and these other guys, they were Yidden. Rachmanin Islam. He didn't have a very long career once they got in, but anyway, never Rachmanin Islam. However, the Rebbe says, why is it that revolutionaries are usually Yidden? He said, because they want to make a chiddush. It's out there in the Neshama, they want to make something new. They don't accept a status quo, an establishment. That's not for them. They're always sort of looking for something else. They want to bring a chiddush into the world. And they don't know that the only way you can do that the right way is to do it according to Torah Mitzvah. Oh, that's the message. I'm really assuming for being married a little bit in that Indian, but it's a very, very tremendously basic Indian, which occurs the whole time throughout the whole Rebbe's teaching. He keeps stressing and renewing all sorts of amazing facets of that basic fact. Hebdil mahusi zeh, of that tremendous difference, mudyash b'miyuvad b'tarik boy ononim toim. So the Rebbe said, that difference between the teva of the world, the way it is, mitzad Hashem is making it, and the lamayla me'ateva, and the chiddush, what a man is supposed to bring into the world, he said that very essential difference occurs in this particular date where we are now, meaning where the Rebbe was then. He said, Ashavi b'shavua v'asiri b'chodesh. He said it's the 7th day of the week, but it's the 10th day of the month. So the Rebbe said, Shekein hayom hashvi b'shavua. He said the 7th day of the week, mesameles hashleimas b'briya. According to the way the Eibishter made the briya, without the avodah of man, then the 7th day is like the perfection. For after the 7th day, even Hashem starts counting again, from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, up to 7. It all goes in cycles of 7, which means that Shavi is like the perfection of that number that you have according to the numbers of the week. Mamela said there's the 7th day, Mesamel, it's Shleimus Babriya, in the actual creation, the way it is and the way it functions the whole time. The Shabbos is like the end, and therefore, since it's the end of that cycle, it's the perfection of that cycle. Shivas, Hamidas, and he called the 7 divine midas, Shabahem Nivra Ho'elam, the 7 divine attributes that through them the world was created. So in Pnimius Ha'inyan, they represent the 7 midas. In the Esser spheres we have the moichin, which are chokmah, bina, v'das, and then we have the 7 midas, chesed, gevurah, tiferes, netzach, chayid, yesod, malchut. Those are the 7 midas. So it's brought down in all the places in Siddur and in Svarim that the creation of the world is from the 7 midas. That's be'ikah from the midas. Yeah, over Mela, that's the Shiva midas, the divine 7 midas, Shebehem Nivro Ilom. The Ilu Asiri, what is the Inyan 10th? What does that represent? He said, Asiri Bachoides, or that's Masamel, that is symbolical of the Shleimas, the Masamel is the Shleimas, and Eitzeres. That's finished. He got into my coffee.
Sorry.
He said
What's he doing, the backstroke?
it's not, Yeshua is written in the Kisvei Arizal that you must be careful not to kill any. And no, we didn't
Killed himself.
But,
And
I once heard a shir of the Kloisenberger Rebbe. I think I've mentioned these guys. The Kloisenberger said, what is the fly shooting? That he doesn't know what it means to creep on your nose. He doesn't know what he said. He doesn't really know. Why is he chayv misa? Because he crept on your nose. Anyway, whatever. So the Rebbe says, however, the Inyan 10th, that represents the perfection which is brought about by the Vedas Odom. What is that? Hamshochas hachokma elokis amukim mishleisho. The Inyan of divine wisdom, that's made up of 3. Chokma bina v'das, v'noisav l'sheva midas. The 7 midas are shied to the world. And the chokma bina v'das, the moichin, they are l'mayla miho. It's brought down in the Kisvei Arizal and Siddur, Barigas and Havim Mekaymas, that be'etzem, the essential level of the moichin, a chokma bina v'das, is too high for the world, and the ikar ashpoya elokis into the world is only through midah, which means that the chokma bina v'das, the moichin, they are legamri l'mayla mi'o'ilamas, and particularly chokma, which the Rebbe mentioned especially, particularly chokma, that's a kli to ein sof mamish, to the Inyan of Kesa, which is nimtza be'a chokma kiyadur. A chokma ma'ayin timotza v'degan tzoricha. Over Mela, davki in the moichin, you have the power of the Maila Me'abriya altogether. So the Rebbe said, Dova zeh noisan koyach gam lo'odom. Since that's the case, that gives power also into a man. Shevenoisav lazichov midoisov, v'tchunoisov, yesh be'efshorat lazache gam es sikloi. So here the Rebbe is hinting at a very basic thing which are brought down in Siddur, and I just have to mention it very briefly because it enriches the whole understanding of the Sikha. And the Rebbe says that Yidden, it could be he mentioned it a bit more as we go along. Yidden were promised at the time of Rome Avinu in the bris Bein HaBasarim. Yidden were promised that they're going to get the land of 10 people. Hashem said you're going to get 10 people, apart from the Shivas are going. Also, Kaini Knizi V'Kadmoin. That's written before in the Pasuk. Rashi brings down over there, and the other great Meforshim also is brought down in Medrash Chazal, that Lapoyo, when Yidden conquered Eretz Yisrael, they only got the land of 7. At that time in Eretz Yisrael there were only 7, and the 3 Kaini, Knizi V'Kadmoini, they're only going to be given Liyosid Lo. So Chassidus explains why, because the whole Ika Aveda in the time of the Golas is to perfect your midas. The Ika Aveda B'Kol Zman HaGolas is to have Moyach, Chokma Bina V'Das, over the Ika Pu'ula of Chokma Bina V'das, B'Zman HaGolas is only to purify the midas, to work on your middle. And therefore the whole Ika Aveda, Bisman HaGolus, is 7. That's even from the middle. And the 10 is Betzila from Moichin. Well, that's not going to be the Osidlovi. Imel, you have Moichin now, but the Moichin are to serve the middle. However, the Osidlovi, the other 3 people means that we're going to be Zeicher to the 3 of Moichin, Chokma Bina V'das, pure, and that's what's called Avedasa Amoichin, that then your whole inner will only be to be Dovik and a Koshbov only there on Moichin, and the middles will just automatically follow everything that the Moichin say. And that's a very high madrega, and that's called Kaini Kniza V'Kad Moichin. That's the 3, and that's going to be Be'ika when Moshiach comes. However, the Rebbe says that before Moshiach comes, there occurred a person called the Arizal, where he lived here in Tzfat, and he began revealing the Ika in and of Pnimis HaTorah. And Pnimis HaTorah is this aspect of Kaini Kniza V'Chad Moichin. That's to be Ika, the Aveda of the Moichin, and appreciating a Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Ika through the Moichin. So when you have to use it, but you're supposed to already be after the Birur HaMidas. In other words, if you learn Siddhas, then you have to be finished with the basic act of purifying Midas, and then you go up into a tremendously profound appreciation of Hashem purely mitzad the Moichin. Remember, that's the inyan of the Chokma Bina V'das, and Be'ika, that's going to be and that will enable us to receive the other 3 main peoples that we weren't given yet. Yeah? And by the way, they happen to be Moav, Ammon, and Edom. Yeah. Edom is the highest one, he's the biggest of all troubles. And then you have Moav, Ammon, they're also, Ammon is the unit for Bina, and Moav is the unit for Midas, how they are. Chalulim in these madrigas or whatever, that's according to one testament, but whatever, they represent 3 levels within inside this tremendous Aveda of Liyoset Lovi. However, says the Rebbe, Shnei Dvarim Eilu, Shiva Vasorim, that comes out that 10 is the Satan, 7 is the Satan nowadays, and that's Mitzad Be'iga, the Shiva Midas, and the 10 is Mitzad the Indian of the Gimel Moichin, and that indicates things beyond the world altogether. Keshurim l'shnei hebeitim toranim v'briyas oilom. He said they also have a connection with 2 ways of viewing Al Pi Torah, the whole creation. So he said, B'Tanakh, Atir Shebiksav, if we look at the whole creation, the way it's written in Torah Shebiksav, in other words, in the written Torah. The world was created in 7 days. It was created in 6 days, but it was perfected on the 7th day. He said, but Pirkei Avos, which Pirkei Avos, the Torah should be al peh, and that we read the same period. This Shabbos, Mudgash, Sho'elam Nira Basoram Amoreh. In other words, that in Torah Shebiksav, we find 7. Of in Torah Shebal Peh, we say the world was created with 10, as it were, units. According to Torah Shebiksav, the Ika is 7. So the Rebbe said, what is the reason for that? Why is it that way? So he said, Torah Shebiksav, Nitna ki yadua mil maila. The whole meaning of Torah Shebiksav, or that's the way it was given purely from above, or that's the way Hashem gave down the Torah. La yishaya sha'odam chas v'sholem yosef or yishana oiso. There's no way that man can add anything or in any way alter a feel 1 letter of Ter Shebiksav. He madgeshes es shleimus habriyas ha'olam al yidei sheva hamidas ha'elokiyos. That represents the 7 divine midas, that they were the basis for creation, that we said. And by the way, they indicate how Hashem made the whole Bria right from the beginning, and just the way it was. What's written on the 6th day? It's written, Vayar Elokim kol asher asor, and it's written, V'hinei toiv ma'id. Not only toiv, but toiv ma'id. What that tends to indicate that the Bria, the way it is, without etzem creation, is a very high and very wondrous madrega. However, he said there's another way that we come to view the whole creation through another level in Torah altogether. And he said, a Torah Shabbat Peh is from the other view, the Torah Shabbat Peh, or that Madgisha Dabke Sahisofa. The Indian of Torah Shabbat Peh indicates what man can really do to the Bria. So it's a wondrous idea. He said that the Indian of Torah Shabbat Peh indicates what man can add into the Bria. What he can be add into the Torah Mamela, into the whole creation, but by way of the klolim that have been given, that he can be mechadish things. V'lochein, bo mudgash davke hashleimas shenasas alidei avedus ha'odom. The in Torah Shabbat Peh, the indication and the ikar emphasis in what man achieves, and what he's meant to do, and what he can add into a further level of creation, a further level of perfection into the creation. And he said that's yes, the spheres shekoilim, gamas amidas, gamas amoichin, not just the midas, but also chokmah, bina v'das, a chokmah ha'elokis. There's another in here we have to take into account that Torah Shabbat Peh, Be'ikah, was also brought about Begilui through man. In other words, that Hashem wanted that the Torah Shabbat Peh, we should work and bring it out through our efforts with the Klolei HaTorah. And therefore, Torah Shabbat Peh has been revealed to man. Albeit it's divine and it's divinely inspired, but it's all the work of the man. And therefore we see that if in the Gemara, let's say, Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yehuda, they say kachazeh. L'mashal the Hillel HaNozi. He said this and this is the din halovek beisil v'kachazeh. In other words, that man has the ability through his effort and through the way he was mechadish things in Torah to add to the whole inner of the creation. And that's Davki Torah Shabbat Peh. And so therefore the Torah Shabbat Peh says that the world was created with a sorrow mamor, 10. Because the Torah Shabbat Peh is including in itself also the Chokmah Binava, that's the Gimel. That's an amazing idea. So he said, "Kolechet mishnei elu sheva ve'ezer yesh yisorin shein b'chaveri." To use the expression yesh b'zeh ma she'ein b'zeh. One has got a mila in it that the other one doesn't have. He said, "Ayishrein shebasheva." What is the speciality that there is in the actual idea of the sheva, which is the basic natural function, creation of the world? He said that's got a mila. He said, "Shuhu moire al shleimus habriya kefisha hoyo." Kefisha Hashem bora oiso. Well, that has the perfection of the bria, the way Hashem made it right from the beginning. Shleimus tiviyas. It's albeit a natural, and it's a fixed laws which call themselves teva. So there was a shleimus tiviyas. He said, however, he says, upnimias akayemas babriya atma. And he said, therefore, it has a certain pnimius also. As fortunately great for him, that there's something in Teva also which is very, very high, and that indicates Hashem's ability to bring about unchangeable things like He's unchangeable. And ever the pneumias of a fixed Seder the whole time has a great mila in it, if you examine it the right way. And that's the inyan of inyan pnimi, which is kayom, it's there and hidden inside the bria. However, he said the Yisorin Sheba Esahu, however, the mila and the tremendous advantage that comes through Torah Sheba'al Peh and through the Avedas Ha'odom, he said, Shehu Megala Alidei Avedas Ha'odom, through the effort of man, Es Elokus Shalom Mila Me'abriya Lechaluti. Well, that indicates the union of Elokus out completely beyond the Bria. Es Agilu Eloki Anayla Shalamayla Afila Me'elokus Shenimshechet B'Shabbat. So the Rebbe, what you have the ability to bring about through your effort in Torah Sheba'al Peh, you can bring down a higher ultimate purpose into the Bria that's higher even than the Kedusha of Shabbat. So the truth is, as brought down in Siddur, that even on Shabbat you have the ability to add certain inyanim. But what the Rebbe means is that the etzem in the middle of the week, you can bring down through your effort in Torah Sheba'al Peh, and knowing that that is your function, you can bring down a gilui which is higher than Shabbat. And since you have that power, then on Shabbos for sure that you're able to achieve it. So therefore said the Rebbe, Suya Maila Aniflua Sheyeshna Batari Poi Anonim Toim. So the Rebbe said this is the tremendous and unbelievable wondrousness of the Tariq that we are now talking about where we are. Well, that is Shabbos Yud Tammuz. He said it's the 7th day and it's the 10th day. It's the 10th day of the month. So I had a tissue. Anyway, maybe I might do with it. So the Rebbe says that we've I think sometimes I just overstep the mark. Thanks, Tony. So therefore says the Rebbe that there's something tremendously wondrous in Canaan this day, which is the 7th day, but it's also the 10th day of Tammuz. So he said, B'tari said, in this day, Mis'achtim HaShavi'i V'Shavua, that's the perfection of the counting of the weekdays, V'Asiri B'Chodesh, and it's the 10th of the days of the month, Kach sheyesh no'ikam esar gilui, Eloki shalamayla l'gamri me'ohilam. Not only we have the shleimus of Shabbos, we also have the gilui of Eser. What Eser is, like we said, the infinite Asora Maimoris, that's the power. Shalamayla me'abriya, lamayla l'gamri me'ohilam. He said, V'afu b'kain hu choyda b'teicha ohilam. And yet, nonetheless, the power of Yidden, serving the Eibishter, and learning and coming together for bringing on that particular day, they have the ability to make that penetrate. Choder, in Lashon Kodesh means to penetrate. They have the ability to make that penetrate into the world. But Pnimiyusoi, that comes into the inner part of the world. How it is mitzad inyan shiva. He said, Ma'alazu kayemes be'etzem b'chol yom. So the Rebbe said it's not just on Shabbos, but it's also, he said, that inyan is kayem, b'chol yom, ki kol yom mi'achad shnei sugi asfira. Here we have it in a very special and, how do you call it, particularized fashion. We have Sheva, which is Shabbos, together with 10, and 10 is equivalent itself to Gimel U'Moich. Now he said, it doesn't really matter what day of the month you are, you have the two inyanim. So he said, the Avodas HaOdam is that on every day, to as it were bring those two things together and make one be mashpia into the other. And he said, just that on the 10th day, which is Shabbat, which is, not there every time, adds a very special and noticeable emphasis to the whole inyan. And he said, therefore, it says, the Rebbe, that's there on every month, on every day of the month, I was there, Mudgash Yesa B'yom Zeh, with the concept of the 10, which is the 3 spheres, L'mayla l'kamri me'ashiva, or that unites with the inyan of the Shabbos Yom HaShvi. V'lochen, he said, Kama chibash of Yom HaShvi b'shavua, v'asiri b'chodesh, yoytze b'yachad shva'asrei. Therefore, if you join the two together and you put a yud together with a zayin, with a shvi, then you get the inyan of 17. And he said 17 is B'gematria Toiv. What Toiv indicates, as we said, the inyan from Toiv Amiti, Al Pikavona Elakus B'kol Abriya, Al that's the Amitius inyan Agiloi, and Amitius inyan Toiv. So he said, Tov bo'ilom, v'toiv shalomaylam mi'oilom. So what happens is, through the tzirah of those two inyonim, you bring down the perfection of the creation, and you also bring down the tov shalomaylam mi'oilom. And therefore you come to the emes hatov. Therefore you reach the emes hatov. In other words, it's a toiv, but tachlis a toiv, not just toiv, and therefore it's written at the end of the creation, Vaya Elokim is Korasha also, Vina Teiv Ma'id. That was already indicatory of the inyan of Me'id, nice about the inyan of Teiv Stam. So the Rebbe said all that together, it's going to bring us to the whole idea of Shiva Osa B'Tammuz, because the next week from this Sikha to the next Shabbos after was already Shiva Osa B'Tammuz. So the Rebbe is going to say, since Shiva also B'Tammuz is B'gematria Toiv, Shiva also is B'gematria Toiv, and it has also on Shabbat, it's got also this milah that we have here, that's going to indicate and make understandable why it is that when Shiva also B'Tammuz comes out on Shabbos that we don't fast, because it's going to be the union of the two things. A perfection LP, the way the Abishta wanted from the Bria. What's the perfection of a fast day? The Rebbe said the perfection of a fast day is that man rises to such a level of achievement and bittul to the Kavana Aliyana mitzad Eser, mitzad the Kaini, Kniz, V'Kadmaini, that he has the ability to change the whole world, and that's true. That man is required, that he has, as it were, he got the thing into problems, and that's the inyan of the troubles that occurred on that day. He has the ability to reveal how really, that's really good. That the reason why Hashem gave that Malachatchila was to bring ultimately to a very panimistic, and therefore when the Moshiach will come, and there'll be the Gula Shlema, those are going to be Yom Tovim, because there's really hidden there a very profound light. He has the ability to reveal that. And when does that happen? In the best possible way on Shabbos. And therefore, since you're revealing the ultimate thing, Mitzad Eser, on Shabbos, you're revealing the ultimate benefit and the ultimate day, which comes through you having made a mistake. Although Hashem gave you the power to correct it and to be oisik. But true, like the Rambam brings it, the whole reason we fast is to come to a correction of why the thing happened at the beginning. Not just to mourn, but to correct the whole thing. And therefore, when it occurs on Shabbos, then the two things come together. It's not shy to fast. But klar. Apart from other reasons which are also given why we don't fast, well, that's a inyan panimi, and that's the union of the two inyanim of Yud and Zayin, one alongside the other. Avamela, the Rebbe said, that leads us to Yud Zion, but to also consider Yud Beis Tammuz, because just shortly after the Shabbos was Yud Beis B'Tammuz, and what is in of Yud Beis B'Tammuz, Gilu Pnimis HaTorah, through Mesiras Nefesh on the part of the Rebbe Rayat and his Chassidim, those who followed him. And the Rebbe said, Pnimius HaTorah is like the difference between Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebal Peh. In other words, that's something that comes Davki Mitzad, the readiness of man to elevate himself and to come to a perfection that he'll be able to be Masik. Also the Seidas HaTorah and the Chiddush Chabad is that no matter where you're really holding, you have the right to be zeicha to that level of Gilui HaTorah, which is Elokus Shel Hamayla Me'olam, just like Esther, and that came through Mesiras Nefesh. You have the ability to reach the Elokus Shel Hamayla Me'olam and give that to everybody. That becomes the property of the whole Klal Yisrael, and that's even Yud Beis B'Tammuz, and that's the union of those two inyonim in Yud Beis B'Tammuz. And so once we reach that level, then all Geulas are like opening to the coming Geulas, and all Geulas are mi'ain, the Geula of Liosik Lovei, and therefore there's Kavioha no choice on the part of the Eibishter, that we've reached all these different combinations and unions within our Veda, and we're holding by the Gilui of Pnimis HaTorah, take of Miyad Mamish. There will be the Geula Shlema, and then the two are going to unite. But Tachlis Aishchabrit, that it's going to be the Gilui, the Gimel spirit, Kaini Kniz Kadmaini, into the Indian of Eser, and that's going to be the Geula Shlema B'Tachlis. And it's very interesting, the Rebbe makes a point that in this week's Parsha, we already tell about the war against Sichain at the end of the Parsha, and the conquering of Eretz, Sichain, V'Oy. So they're already, Sichain, there's a whole Gemara, Masechta Gittin, with a whole Tosfos over there, that Eretz, Sichain, V'Oy, they belong to Moya. They're really part of Moya. And the Eibishter told him at the beginning they can't interfere with Moya. But since Sichain came along, and he drove, like Rashi brings, he drove the Moavites out, and he took that part of Moav, and therefore Yidden can now come in. Kol that it belongs to Moav, they couldn't come in. But what Sichain took it, then it's written in the Gemara, Tosfos talks about over there, that Sichain tiher es Moav. Sichain did us a great favor that he purified Moav, and we're able to move in and take over part of the Kaini Kinizah and Kadmaini. So the Rebbe said, that in the Parsha, there's like an amazing lead-up to the ultimate shleimus of the union and the Zeicha to be Mekabel Kaini Kinizah and Kadmaini. So, the Rika Be'ez Hashem should be Pe'el Mamish of the Simra Gedei.
Mamish.
Is it okay? It's the page raised from Is it right if I take that away?
I have to run.
Is that okay? No, I'm well in these if I didn't have the Sefer, then it's dangerous.
I know it doesn't always goes down, right?
If I didn't have the Sefer, it's dangerous to lend me a Sefer, but I don't have. It might sort of, it might just, and don't get sick. I really have the Sefer, because my daughter has to. There's no way.
That part I should show the rabbi.
I'll study it carefully, and then I'll get your carefully.
You want me to tell the rabbi about that part? You want me to tell the rabbi at that part that you don't have it yet taken?
Up to you.
Okay. I'm pretty sure he got laughing.
You shouldn't be scared. I don't think you will.
I don't think we're here.
Yes, I give my voice.
Oh, yeah.
Have one of the Shabbos and give out a green. I'll be singing Baruch tonight. And Hashem will give us all these wonderful things we learn from the Rebbe.
Shabbos ben Yom.
Oh, long?
Long. It's called wine. In England, cheap wine is called lonks.
You would do me a favor. Would you mind just putting that under my head so I don't forget it?
You talked about Edom. Edom.
Edom,
Yeah, there's another level.
Edom is, they are either they're Chokma of Kedusha or they're Kesser. According to most opinions, they're Kesser. And Kaini Knizia Kadmoni is Kesser Chokma Pina, the Clipper. And so Lafizer, Edom is the Kesser. And Moyav is the Chokma, and Amoin is the Bina.
There's a level more evil called Talmudoi. Talmudoi. Clippers to Talmudoi.
Chanukah.
Hanukkah?
Talmudoi.
Talmudoi.
Rebbe Loza Madoi?
Talmudoi.
חנוכה מדליקים את הנרות עד שנגמר הרגליים של תלמודוי.
Madoi?
Talmudoi. You know Talmudoi?
The Talmudai.
Talmudai.
Yeah, actually, Tifla regular the Talmudai.
Yes, now this is more evil than Edom. More evil than Amalek.
Yeah, that's a very intelligent observation.
So who are the Talmudoi today?
The Koyach represented by the Chashmonayim, but that's really the Indian from Pnima Satira.
Yeah.
But that makes it possible to be Mavala, even the Talmudai. Even the Talmudai. And they representative of very low Koyach in the Klippa. Well, they know anyway, that links up with the Indian of Kesset.
Have you heard of the Talmudoi?
No, in the beginning of the Hanukkah mimer.
Here.
Rothschild.
Yeah.
Be in touch soon.
L'chaim.
And the drum.
L'chaim.
I think some microphone, wireless, is around.
So listen, guys, the message is that we see we have unbelievable powers, and those powers are the whole reason why we're here. We're here, Akadosh Baruch Hu made a Bria and everything's fine. He could have made men that would just walk around very dignifiedly and be part of the perfection of the creation. We see that the Eibishter made man in such a way that he can mess things up, chas v'sholom. Through the inyan of Bechira, it's possible not to come out the best possible way. And that's what happened, the not good part of it. So the message of what we learned tonight is that nonetheless, everything is latoi. Everything which happens, it's all got a purpose. It's all, you must never say, oi, kavod, look at this mess that has occurred. You must never say that. Everything has this unbelievable, so what is the purpose? So what is the purpose? That if something, that you, chas v'sholom, mess something up, that you have the ability and you're required to correct it and to come to what's called tshuva, or doing things which will correct that whole situation. And by doing that, you bring about a gilui which is l'mayla, even from l'mayla meha ha'olam. Then you bring, as it were, hu l'vadi hu. And in the Sikha, the Rebbe makes a difference. The Rebbe said we find that at the beginning of the creation is written Eila Tildes Hashomayim B'Ha'oretz B'Yom Hibaron, and the word Tildes is written Malay. But that means a very full revelation of Elikus compared to what's been before in the 6 days of creation. So the Rebbe said we see a bit later it's written in Eila Tildes Peretz. These are the Tildes of Peretz at the end of Rusa. Of Amela, that's also Malay. And why is it Malay? Because it's indicatory of Mashiach. Because Peretz, he was the great-grandfather of Mashiach. Of Amela, that's Malay and that's Malay. So if Malay means the highest you can go, then you can't go any higher. So the Rebbe says, Simon, that no matter how high you go, you can always go higher. Even when Eina Chanami, Mitzad the Bria, Eila Tildes is perfect, but Eila Tildes Peretz is even more perfect. You follow? And so what the implication appears to be is that through you having fallen, so you must never, if you sort of make a blunder, you must not say, wait, I've messed it up. You must immediately help yourself and remind yourself that only happened to you. And the whole purpose of that having happened is that you should reach even higher, incomparably, than what you were before. Even though you might have been doing good before, you got to go even higher. And that's in Tikkun. And therefore, the Rebbe brings in the Sikha at the beginning of creation, as it's written, Asher Bora Elokim La'asayit. So what's this Bora Elokim La'asayit? So the Medrash says, L'takein. Asher Bora Elokim La'asayit, L'takein. L'takein means to fix up, to make better. So that doesn't mean the Eibush has to be L'takein. Hashem was Bora, he did his part, he created everything, but he made it in such a way that you can come along and you can be metaken. You can add and be moisiv, shleimas, more than what it is in its own. You follow? We see that shleimas has no limit. It just keeps going and getting more and more, but that doesn't rule out the shleimus of a given level. Because the shleimus of that given level is Hainachanami, like that level is Tachish Shleima. Compared to what could and ultimately be achieved, it's also not the perfect thing. And the ultimate shleimus is even higher than that. That's the difference between Eila Tel is Peretz and Eila Tel is Shamayim Gold. We have to take a big encouragement. And we must never become spoiled from, if you made a blunder. I mean, Hashem should hope you don't make any blunders, but if it did happen that you made a mistake, you made a blunder, don't. And I remember when I first came amongst the Chassidim in Melbourne, Australia, and I had learned from certain areas, there's a mitzvah and there's an aveda, And a very pretty terrible thing. It is. So I come to the Chassidim, and one of the Chassidim said to me, if ever you do an Avera, don't spend time crying about it. Don't spend any time weeping about the Avera. If you want to weep about it by Krishna Shalamita or somewhere like that. Although he said, don't cry about it, because that's not what you meant to do. What you meant to do is do another 2 mitzvahs instead of the Aveda. You meant to, if you did that Aveda, that has to be a motivation and a koyah to give you to do 2 absolutely new mitzvahs. And that's what the word means. If there's anything negative occurs, then Esa tells me that there's no negation. You follow? There's no negation. If it occurs, only in order to cause elevation. And I remember I kept that idea, I went into it sort of took a bit of a while, but it went into my computer, and that's a very profound thing. That's why Chassidim were always with the elder Chassidim that I was there to know, they were always positive. They were always they always looked at things in a humorous way, positive way. And when they sang in English, the Geschmack. And when they davened also, when they davened to Hashem, positive. Why? Because we're moving all the time upward. And that's what they call in America upwardly mobile. You've got to be going up the whole time. And that's the message of this amazing Sikha. And that is the message of the Rebbe, boy from Kloli. You can find it all over. The whole idea is that you came down only to make a chiddush. And what is the chiddush? You are a chiddush of 2 feet. You follow? So you must never get old. You must never get old. You're always up to something new. You're always. As we pointed out, unfortunately, Yidden can go that way, not in such a good way. And the right way is to always, and that's what the Gemara says in Masechta Megillah, over there, not far from the famous Gemara where the Rebbe spoke about 770 and all that. And the Gemara says that like a Beis Medrash, Shein Bo Chidush, that the emes of Beis Medrash always has a chidush. There's always a new thing, always something new. Because that's the whole inyan of what you are. Your whole inyan is chidush. You have to bring about a new thing that's never been, dira v'tata. And as the old saying of it, so let's get cracking. Yeah, let's get moving. And that's the secret of simcha. Because when are you b'simcha? When you're challenged. And that's why the Rebbe printed once a book in English, and they asked the Rebbe what name to give the book, and the Rebbe said challenge. It's called challenge. Because the whole of existence in life, in this world, according to what we just learned, is challenge. You've got to be reaching upwards. It's a new demand on you in a positive way. You know what I mean? You're moving upwards to meet the challenge the whole time. Yeah. And that's the whole inner of life. That's a very profound thought, unbelievable. And if you can only get into it, even partially, it's another level together, you know. Everything's all part of the challenge. There's no time for anything negative. You've got to be, how do you call it, upwardly mobile. Got to keep just going up and up. That's the whole inner. And that's Esa. That's Esa. And therefore, the three peoples, the Yossi Lowe we're going to get, are called Knizi, Kaini, Knizi, but Kadmoini. Kadmoini means Kadmon. Kadmon means something beyond and over, primordial. We're heading in the direction of the beyond altogether, completely.
But Kodem means before. Kodem means a preface. Kodem means a preface, no?
Preface?
A preface.
No, that's a Hakdom. The word Hakdom as a noun can also mean a preface. Kadmoni means primordial, or beyond limitation, beyond any measurement of time.
This is Chabad. Chabad.
Yeah, that's Chabad.
Chabad.
Huh?
This is Chabad.
Yeah.
Chabad. Hakman, Bina, and Das.
Yeah. This is the whole function of life according to us. Mela Hashem should grant us to be with Hatzlacha, and we should be zeicha to be be'emes b'simcha. And if we can reach that, then how do you call it? On the way. And just by the way, that's the good thing about this book. It's lively. It sort of moves, you know. It's not it doesn't get serious. It just keeps moving the whole time. With another good story, another good idea, another l'chaim. That's the good thing about it. Good. Okay, guys. L'chaim. 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 So there's an old saying in English: the glorious few. The glorious few. We're only left behind the two readers, but it's glorious. Good. That's it. If I may, just one more point before we close, and that is, I remember somebody said to me once, whenever Tesis brings anything down, you must always look it up. Don't just assume that that's what's written in the Gemara. You must look it up. And he said to me, there's an old saying in Yiddish, Mito keinem nicht gläuben. You're not allowed to believe anybody, even Tesis. Don't believe what another person tells you. You find out for yourself. You find out? Look it up and see what's written there. And you'll see that for sure Tesis didn't say something different, but the way to understand it becomes enriched altogether by having looked it up. It's Shaliva Ereb, I feel it. It's a cloud, very big cloud. And the same when you get to the whole creation and the whole development of the world, don't believe what other people tell you. You find out for yourself. And if you'll find out for yourself, then you'll see it's the way the Rebbe says. Chaim. I remember I was plenty fun. I know my Polish Yiddish, when I had a shiur in the Gemara with him. And I remember him saying in Polish Yiddish, he said, Mito keinem nicht gläuben. You don't believe anybody, you look up yourself. He said, even if Tosfos quotes 5 Gemaras, you have to look up. You have to look up all 5 Gemaras. If you do, then you know yourself what's being said. You don't have to believe. And that leads to a more profound understanding. The fact that you know what the pshat is, that makes you understand what Tosfos means. Not Chazal, you don't have the different idea, but that makes you appreciate what he really means.
Chaim Roch.
Ich bin on a record again. All the drivers who I see approved, all of them couldn't come. They said,
I have to see if my wife took the car, if it's still there.
So I came with a push of the cab. I just called up a cab. Both to set my... So, you say? Good job. Have a good Shabbat.